Chapter 1. There was a 17-year-old named Patrick. He was trying his best to join his favorite college that was known for its best education and placement in very good companies. While preparing for his entrance exam, one night in his dreams, he saw a man who was in his 30s and said to Patrick that come to the back of the house garden. Patrick woke up suddenly and started to search for who was the person who said those words to Patrick, but after a short, he remembered that it was only a dream. The next day, he thought about it a lot and decided to go there because it wasn't a big deal or it wasn't far from his house. It was at his house backyard, and he felt a bit of an excitement. He thought that it was just a dream, so there is no way it would be true. But what Luz does just visiting his backyard can possibly do? When he went there and waited for a bit of time, there was nothing there. But when he was about to leave and go back, he heard a sound behind his back. When he turned back, he saw a big shining hole floating in the air. He startled for a minute, and when he tried to go near it, Patrick heard a voice that somehow felt very similar and went near it. Then that sound said, "Come inside of this portal." When he heard that, he felt as if he had to do this or not, but he gathered all his courage and went inside of it. What he saw was very different. He was standing in the front of a person who came in his dream. He didn't talk a single word and said, "I know what is happening. I am dreaming. I will wake up just in a minute." But the man standing in front of him said, "This is not a dream, Patrick. This is all real. Welcome to the future, Patrick, and let me introduce myself to you. My name is Patrick from your future." Patrick laughed and gave an annoying smile and saying, "This just doesn't feel real. What are you saying?" He said, "Come with me, and you will know everything you want to know." The so-called future. Patrick took the teenage Patrick and went outside of an office. When the teen Patrick saw back, he had saw the CEO written on the room's door. And when they gone outside of the office, he saw each and everyone was giving respect to the so-called future Patrick. When they came out of the office, everything looked pretty common for the future, and teen Patrick started to doubt him. But when he thought of it clearly, he was shocked that how is it possible that he was in his backyard and now he was in someone's office.
The man bought a car and parked it in front of him and said, "Come on in." Patrick sat in the car. But right after that, when he came out of his thinking and took a look out of the window, he saw that the car was flowing in the air. Patrick didn't react, seeing this. When the so-called future Patrick saw his reaction, he asked him, "What happened to you?" And teen Patrick said, "I am surely in dream. There is no way car flies." Then the man said, "It is true. Cars cannot fly, but that is in your time. Not now. Now everything is possible." He said he was taking teen Patrick to his house. It took time. But when Patrick came back to his senses and took a good look on his face and compared to his face, they were a lot similar, and his voice was like a future version of his own voice. While going towards his house, the future Patrick said, "I tried my best to get into that college, and after all my efforts, my dream came true. I joined the college and got a great job offer. After working for some years, I thought of becoming an entrepreneur and started to work for myself and became a famous entrepreneur. I even married Lucy, and we have 2 kids. Lucy was teen Patrick's girlfriend who loved him unconditionally. Patrick was so relieved that she married him in the future and said, 'Thank God.' Future Patrick laughed and said, 'You love her so much, right? She is the best wife I could ever have. She takes care of our children, and she even takes care of my parents, and she almost never goes out, except when I call her out or we have a plan to go somewhere, and whenever I ask her why she doesn't go out, she said I don't have to go." Chapter 2. While talking about how good Lucy was and talking about Patrick's future, they were already arrived at the house. Patrick saw a medium-large mansion-type house. But when he saw the house, he thought that comparing to his office, this looks like a small hut. But this is pretty good, and maybe the future me is not so show-off type. While he was thinking this, the future Patrick came behind of him and said, "Why are you looking at the neighbor's house so intensely?" When Patrick turned back, he saw the future Patrick standing in front of a house that was so high and mighty that he had to see the top by bending very backward. After seeing this, Patrick said to future Patrick that come back, don't stand in front of someone else's house, come on, let's go. And the future Patrick laughed and said, this is my house, come in. Teen Patrick was already so much shocked that he didn't even flinch this time. When they went in, Lucy was preparing a meal and their kids were saying, Mum, I am hungry and Lucy said it will be prepared in minutes. Please sit there. And the kids went and sat on the dining table. At the meantime, both Patricks were seeing them from behind hiding. They both said, she is so beautiful at the same time, and laughed, seeing each other's face. Then they both went to Patrick and Lucy's room and they started talking again. Then, when Teen Patrick said, why did you call me here today? The future Patrick said, when I was at your age right this day, I received a note saying, don't believe that the future will be always good and same. Your future is yours. Live however you want to, but don't ever try to slack off. Present is the most important. All the best to your exams. May you lead a great life. But who wrote it remained a mystery. I thought that showing you what future you have in your life would have a link to that paper that changed my life for good. After that, they both talked for some time, and when it started to turn dark, the future Patrick again opened the portal and said bye to his teen self with best wishes. Lead your life as you want. Don't think that you have to do what I did. Do what your heart desires, but give it your all. When Patrick returned to his time, he gone to his room and thought of what he has gained in his future and how he was very famous and very rich. The next day he started to stop reading for his college entrance exam and thought that, however, he will pass, and started to become a proud man and thought of everyone as low and started to talk to her girlfriend Lucy as if they were already married. And he even used to say that how he will become a rich person and how they both will get married and eventually get blessed with kids as well. Lucy would always try to talk to her as passionately as Patrick was talking, and then came the time of his exam, when he saw his question paper and thought how he didn't know much except how much he had learned before getting full of himself. After the exam, he knew that he would not make it, but his pride still said that he will become an entrepreneur, and there is no need of qualification and degree for that. After some time, he got a letter saying he had failed the exam. Patrick was in shock because in his future he had passed, so how did he fail? After some years, he found himself in a private college and he got an internship offer at a very small company. When he thought about his future, what the man said to him, his life was completely different. The only thing that was not different was about Lucy. Even after Patrick was not in a good position or in a good job, she still was with Patrick. Once, when he was tired about his future and crying beside Lucy, she gave him a shoulder and said, it's okay, don't give up. Even if you didn't get what you were meant to get, I will still be with you. But Patrick was sure that she would get enough of him and leave him, so he even tried to break up with her, but she never did. She just ignored his words about breakup. Chapter 3. Once, while he was asleep, he saw a man who was looking like the guy who Patrick had saw in his teens. That guy said the same thing as the man said when Patrick was in his teen, while he was waiting at the place of which the guy had said him. The portal once again opened, and when he went inside, hurriedly thinking that he would find himself in the office, he found himself at a shop-type place where he saw a man who was very pale and was looking like he had not taken a sleep for many days, and he was also very high at alcohol. When he tried to talk with him, that guy suddenly hit him very hard and said, you bastard, why did you not work hard and just going on doing whatever you wanted, thinking that it would come and drop on your hand, you fool? Patrick was shocked and asked, who are you and what did I do? When he saw his face, he looked exactly like him. Patrick was totally in shock. Then he said, what do you want me to do? If only I could stop all this time travel and just let my teen self try his hardest. The future Patrick said, come with me, and took him to a small apartment house where he lived. At that time, the young Patrick was only thinking that Lucy would have probably left him and would have gone with someone with a good future at the moment when he was about to ask the future Patrick about Lucy. He saw Lucy wearing an old clothes and an old apron. Their kids were asking her for food, and she said it will be prepared soon. When the young Patrick saw this, he instantly compared both of the futures, and at seeing her, he realized how big of a mistake he had done and started to cry, remembering all his mistake, and seeing Lucy's face, the future Patrick said, "Whenever I tried to break up with her, she always ignored. But when I tried very hardly, she tried to kill herself, saying she only needs me, even though she was ready to go through all the problems she had to face. She held on to all her tears and went on, leading the life with me who was unworthy of her precious smile. And I'm such a fool that spent all the money of this month's salary so that I can get all my anger out. How should I face her?" When young Patrick heard this, he said, "Is there no way for me to go back to my own time?" The future Patrick said, "Yes, there is, because a time machine can be used for a whole day." 24 HRS. Patrick sighed relieved and said, "What should we do?" And both of them talked for a while and went for a walk. While he was saying all his problems, the young Patrick said if there was a single way to solve all these issues. While walking, they went to a bar and saw that they were low at money and went backwards. The young Patrick said the time is really a messed up thing. We can't live with the wrong future, or to say it properly, we don't want to have a bad future, but we never try to make our life better in the future. While they were talking about this, there suddenly was an electric short circuit. Seeing the light as if the young Patrick's head went on a rampage, and then he suddenly asked for a pen and a paper, the future Patrick took out a pen and a paper from his bag and said, "What do you want to do with this?" The young Patrick said, "This can change our whole life," and said, "Please start the time portal to the time and place I say." The future Patrick was at a loss of words, but still thought that trusting his young life was the right thing to do, based on a wild guess. The young Patrick explained a plan that he had in his mind and said the future Patrick to follow it, and they both gone as planned. When they both arrived, it was a familiar place, and at the spot, the young Patrick ran towards a house from the backwoods, and the future Patrick stopped the time portal, and suddenly the other portal opened at the place. The future Patrick suddenly jumped into the portal and forcefully shut someone's mouth and said slowly that please calm down and wait for my partner to come. We will explain everything to you. And after some time, the young Patrick came inside the portal and said to release him to the future Patrick. And when he released the mouth of the strange and rich-looking person and took a look on his face, he looked as if he was Xerox copy of the future Patrick, but a better version. Chapter 4. When all the three of them were confused, the young Patrick said to the future Patrick that the rich-looking guy who is like the better version of you, he is the future Patrick as well, but from another timeline, so practically saying he and you both are the same, but from different timeline. They were more confused. The young Patrick said that the house and place were looking very similar because it was our teenage house, and said that the rich future Patrick was going to ruin all of the Patrick's life. He said all his plan to the future Patrick and explained that when he saw a short circuit at the road, he saw that a snake was crawling under the place where the incident occurred. Patrick saw that electricity was about to hit the snake, but the other electricity came, and when they both hit each other, they were split, and the snake was safe. By seeing this, Patrick got an idea that if they were able to stop the future, rich, Patrick from meeting the teen, Patrick they could solve everything. And the young Patrick even said why he run and gone into the house so that he could leave a letter that changed the life of the Patrick for good. He wrote, "Don't believe that the future will be always good and same. Your future is yours. Live however you want to, but don't ever try to slack off. Present is the most important. All the best to your exams. May you lead a great life." It was the same words that changed the rich Patrick's life and was very important to him. and the teen Patrick will go back to his normal world, and maybe he could live his life without our interference. Then suddenly, all the things that were around him started to change. The young Patrick and the both future Patricks started to loose their body, and everything was being erased. They all knew what was going on, so they didn't react, and peacefully standing there, the three of them smiled towards the teen Patrick and said, "Live as you want, but never do something that would make you feel as if what you did was wrong, and you start to regret it." While all this was occurring, the teen Patrick, who was going back to his room because he didn't see anything that he saw in his dream, didn't came up, gave a smile, and gone back to his room, where he saw the letter and started the loop of time again. The present is the most important part of the life, rather than living life in the past by remembering and in future by thinking, live life in the present by doing.